Okay, tonight we have the 9-month plus sleep tutorial. So we'll be covering off the 3 things that I think you need to know if you have a 9-month-old baby when it comes to sleep and getting some good sleep, which is what we all want. Good naps during the day, good sleep at night. That's what we're covering off tonight. So we've got a 9-month plus sleep tutorial. I'm Emma, the owner of Baby Sleep Consultant, and I will be running this live talk for you. So I run Baby Sleep Consultant New Zealand and Australia. We have a team of sleep consultants across the country, so we come into your homes and do home consultations, and we work on the phone with parents and do phone consultations and lots of things like coffee groups and sleep talks and that sort of thing. If you are in Auckland, then the Baby Show weekend, which is coming up end of August, I will be presenting 2 talks on the Friday and Saturday at the Baby Show, so that's 100% free. If you're at the Baby Show, you can come along and listen to my talk, which is about basically the 5 factors that you need to know to teach, that will help your baby to sleep through the night. So that's my talk on Friday and Saturday if you're at the Baby Show. Otherwise, I will be hanging out with Fiona from the owner of Sleepy Tot, and you can come over and ask me any sleep questions, grab some sleep tips. If you want some routine help with your baby or toddler, I will be at the Baby Show Friday, Saturday and Sunday with Fiona from Sleepy Tot and presenting my talks on the Friday and Saturday. So that's kind of a little bit about us. As a company, Sleep Consultants, we obviously love sleep, but tonight is about you and your 9-month-old. So if you have a baby 9 months plus, then you are in the right place to hear me talk about 9-month-olds and their sleep challenges and the 3 things that I think you need to know moving forward with a 9-month-old baby. So if you are listening, whether you are listening live tonight, hi, or on the replay, please let me know how old your baby is in the comments below. So if they're 9 months, tell me they're 9 months. If they're 10, 11, 12, or if you're sort of preempting this because your baby's a bit younger and your baby's 6 months old, then pop down below in the comments and tell me how old is your baby and maybe even where you're listening from. If you want to tell me that, that would be cool. If you have any questions tonight, please pop them in the comments, and even if you're watching this as a replay, any questions, I will jump on later and type my answers out for you so you will not be forgotten if you are watching this as a replay, because I know lots of mums at this time of night, especially those of us who don't have their sleepers, we're still trying to get our kids to sleep at 7:30 at night. So if you are watching the replay, please pop your questions below and I will answer them for you. Otherwise, I'm going to tell you the 3 things that I think you need to know if you have a 9-month-old baby and you want to continue to have great sleep happening in your house, or if you're in the middle of some sleep challenges and you're wondering what things you might need to be focusing on, then I can tell you those things. And at the end, I've got some questions from the post earlier on that I'm going to be answering for those of you who tuned in earlier. So I'll be answering those questions as well. So that's our sleep tutorial tonight, 9-month plus babies. If you do have a younger baby, there is another video on the wall from a couple of weeks ago, 6 months plus, so that might be a great talk to go back and have a listen to as well, if this one is a little bit too old for you and your baby. Okay, so let's get into it. The 3 things that I think you need to know if you do have a 9-month plus baby. And also I will pop in the comments below when I finish chatting to you the infographic for tonight that you can keep, which will help you remember the 3 things that you want to know if you are working with on your child's sleep at 9 months. Okay, so if you have a 9-month-old baby or even older, or maybe this is your second, so you've been through the stage already, then you will know what I mean when I say that 9-month-old babies are on the go. So they are moving, and this can start to wreak havoc with sleep. So number 1 on my list is be prepared for the fact that movement is probably going to cause some kind of regression in your child's sleep habits, and it's 100% normal, okay? Don't freak out, they're not broken, they haven't forgotten how to self-settle. I promise you they can still sleep. It's just that they're learning to move. So your 9-month-old baby, depending on where they're at, they might be learning to crawl or roll over or pull up to standing in their cot, and all of these things can really disrupt your child's sleep as a child is grasping a new skill, which movement is, and it's a massive skill. It causes the brain to basically form a whole bunch of new synapses, And this alone can cause wake-ups at night, because basically whilst your baby is sleeping, all of their skills they learn during the day, or that emerge and they practice during the day, these move from short-term to long-term memory, and new synapses in the brain are formed. And this process happens every time your child sleeps, which is one of the reasons why sleep is so important for children and adults. But this process around a massive sort of physical development, like learning to roll over or stand up or crawl, this can cause such a sort of burst in the brain, not a bad burst, but such a burst of new growth and new memories and new skills, that some children will tend to wake up around 1 to 3 o'clock in the morning, simply from what's going on inside their little heads. And their little brains are saying, hey, remember today we learned how to crawl? Let's practice that right now. So then you've got this 9-month-old baby trying to crawl around their cot at 1 o'clock in the morning. And as a parent, you're trying to sleep and you're thinking, why are you crawling around your cot at 1 o'clock in the morning? Are you hungry? Are you cold? Do you need help to get back to sleep? And I would say usually no. They're not hungry, they're not cold, and they don't need help getting back to sleep. They're simply practicing their new skill, and that's cool. They can practice that till their little heart is content, and if they're happy and they're not crying, crawling around the cot, then I would just leave them to it. It's just them practicing this new movement which they have developed. And the same goes for rolling over, standing up, and then walking. So all of these movement developments cause this little blip sometimes in their nighttime sleep. The other one is that you might find you go to pop them down to sleep, and before they could move, they would just lie there and go to sleep, and you had this whole self-settling thing nailed. But now that there's suddenly a lot more movement going on, you lay them down and boom, they stand up, because they can. And you're thinking, how do I get you to sleep? You won't even lie down, or you lie them on their back and they immediately flip their tummy and then crawl around the cot, or if they are just practicing rolling, you lie them down and they roll over, and they dock their head on the side of the cot and they keep rolling, and you're thinking, you can't even keep still. How are you going to go to sleep? Again, just don't panic. Don't panic too much. The whole practicing the movement thing is normal. What you want to practice is teaching them, and I would start this during the day, not at night, but you might have to if it suddenly emerges at night. But I would teach them to get from whatever position they're in into the position they need to get into to sleep. So the minute your baby, or your 9-month-old, 10-month-old baby learns to stand up, teach them to sit back down and then lie back down. Because it is not unheard of for children to fall asleep standing up in their cots, because they haven't yet figured out to unlock their and sit back down and then lie back down and go to sleep. So if they haven't figured that out just yet, then they will literally just stand in the cot, because they can't lie down and they can't go back to sleep. So if your child is at the stage where they just stand in the cot, you don't need to pick them up and rock them to sleep. You don't need to pick them up and feed them to sleep. If they were self-settling before they learned to stand up, they can still self-settle. So I would simply lie them down. And if they stand back up, I would lie them down again. And just keep going until they get the message. They might get a bit annoyed at you, but they need to learn that, okay, it's night time or it's nap time. Actually, I need to lie down and go to sleep. So you want to teach them with all of the whole movement emergence and the regression that comes with this new development to overcome this in order to go back to sleep. So teach them that actually right now is not time to stand up and walk laps in our cots, time to lie down and go to sleep at bedtime, so lie down. They stand up, lie down. And you just keep doing it, and it just makes the whole bedtime drama go away really quickly. So that's my advice for the whole movement thing. In the middle of the night movement, again, just remember, they haven't unlearnt how to self-settle just because they're practicing their movement in the middle of the night. So give them a little bit of space if that's what they need. Don't try to force them back to sleep if they want to practice crawling around their cot for 45 minutes. That's good, that's fine. And I do hear from a lot of parents who, they're lying there thinking, but I know he needs 11 to 12 hours sleep overnight, and he's been awake for an hour and a half now. He's going to be overtired tomorrow. I need to force him to go back to sleep. When really, 11 to 12 hours overnight would be awesome if that happened every night. But, stuff happens, and you will get back on track a lot quicker if you just don't panic for those couple of nights that this is going on and they're practicing their movement in the middle of the night, and just kind of ride it out a little bit rather than causing what would be a couple of day regression to become a couple of months because you start to assist your baby to sleep who previously went to sleep unassisted. Okay, so just remember they haven't forgotten how to fall asleep. Okay, so that's point number one. That was about movement. Point number two, I want to talk quickly about solids. So from 9 months plus through to sort of 12 months, there is a massive growth spurt in your kids, and you've moved probably around 8 months to food before milk, so that probably already increased how much they were eating, and we've talked lots about making sure the balance is right between food and milk at that time. And then I just want you to know that from 9 to 12 months, the calorie kind of demand from their food increases again. So we just want to make sure that we've moved on from the stage 1 foods and we're allowing our 9 month plus children to really eat some great foods that are going to fill them up, help them to sleep, and really support their sleep overnight. So I'm talking about things like really good proteins at lunchtime, so your meats and that sort of thing, or if you're doing vegetarian sources of protein, those things. And then 9 months is also kind of when the food gets easy, because a lot of the foods that were on the no eat list are now on the list and they can eat them, and they've developed a lot more of a pincer grip, so they can be eating a lot more finger food and that sort of thing. So you want to make sure they're getting lots of protein at lunchtime and really decent sort of complex carbohydrates, which is going to help them sleep through the night, as well as all their usual fruits and veggies and finger foods and milk. But I think that some people do underestimate how much growth occurs between 9 and 12 months, and that can affect their sleep if you don't continually, just slowly increase what you're offering them food-wise and keep progressing them forward. So just be aware that there is that big growth spurt. It slows down after 12 months, which is why we then think we all have these picky eaters at 12 months, but they're actually just not hungry. So there is this big growth spurt between 9 and 12 months. Make sure they're having really awesome food, and you've moved on from the sort of easier and lower calorie, purees that your babies had sort of prior around the 4, 5, 6, 7 months time, and give them a bit more complex and real food to eat, which will also support their sleep overnight. Okay, so that's 2 points. We've talked about movement and food. And then my third point for tonight, for those of you who have a 9 month plus baby, is around nighttime sleep. And I do want to tell you that the majority of children 9 months plus do not need a feed at night. So if you want to drop your nighttime feed, usually from 9 months plus you can. So there are plenty of parents out there who are happy doing a nighttime feed, and that's awesome. You can continue to do that, that's not a problem. But if you are looking to drop your nighttime feed or feeds, usually from 9 months we are okay with that, and we know that we can get enough food into them during the day with their solids and enough milk in them during the day that they won't actually be hungry through the night. So if you've been hanging on to that one nighttime feed and you've been unsure of when it would actually work to drop it, 9 times out of 10 if a client comes to us at this age or beyond, we can drop their nighttime feeds really easily. So that shouldn't be a problem from 9 months plus. Ways that you can know if your child is ready to drop that nighttime feed is looking at how hungry they are in the morning. So if they have a nighttime feed and then they're not overly hungry at breakfast time, that's a good sign that you could probably drop their nighttime feed and increase their breakfast. The other one to look at is whether or not their nighttime feed is in fact the biggest feed of the day. And if you're breastfeeding, that might be the longest feed, the most concentrated, and then the daytime feeds are quite short and not as focused, And if it's a bottle, you'll be able to tell mil-wise, if the nighttime feed is bigger. And if that's the case, then that's a good indicator that you can reduce down that nighttime feed and then drop it. And probably what's happening is they're a bit distracted during the day and not taking great feeds. So if you just spend a little bit more time on the feeds during the day and reduce the nighttime feeds, that will increase their hunger during the day, and you'll be able to up their milk intake and successfully drop that nighttime feed. So if you are wondering if you can drop a nighttime feed, 9 months plus, 9 times out of 10 we can get rid of a nighttime feed. But obviously in saying that, if you're happy with your nighttime feeding situation, there is nothing wrong with not dropping your nighttime feeds. That's totally up to you. Okay, so that's my 3 things for 9-month plus children is look out for the movement regression that's going to come, make sure you increase the food that they're eating for the big growth spurt that's going to happen, and nighttime sleep. So the majority of 9-month plus children can sleep through the night without a feed, if that's what you're looking for. And obviously we know that kids wake up throughout the night, you know, we know they have nighttime sleep cycles, and I'm not suggesting that they won't have these night sleep cycles and they won't go back to sleep. It's just if you want to actually stop feeding overnight from 9 months, you usually can. Okay, so those are the 3 things that I think you need to know if you have a 9-month plus child. If you have a question for me, please pop it in the comments, and I will come and answer them. Even if you're watching the replay, I'll answer these questions as best as I can for you. Otherwise, now I'm going to answer the questions that I do have, and from today's earlier thread about kids this age. Okay, so I'll just put these in order. And if I don't get to your question, it's not because I don't like you. I will come in later and answer it, I promise. Okay. And I'm going to go to the oldest question first, since this person was obviously very organised. Okay. Now this is a name I can't even say. Okay. I'm going to go with Nat. Hi, my baby is 9 months old today. She's recently been sick with a cold and has since been only having 45-minute naps for her second nap. She used to sleep for the full 2 hours. How do I get her back to sleeping for 2 hours? She doesn't respond to me resettling anymore. She just wakes up completely once I go in, which is pretty normal for a 9-month-old. Also, if I give her a third nap because she's woken so early from her second nap, she doesn't go down easily at night. Should I just skip this all together? Okay, so if she's back to having short sleep because she was sick, you might have to do a little bit of sleep training at lunchtime to teach her to take a longer nap again. And the third nap, if you do offer a third nap at this age, which usually we've dropped to 2 sleeps by 8 months, if you do offer a third sleep for whatever reason, you know, baby's been sick or you've been busy, I would try to keep it to after 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And also, because you've noticed already that it's affecting your nighttime sleep, I would probably limit it to something really small, like 20 minutes. And that should be enough just to tie you over into the evening routine without it totally affecting both your lunchtime nap or your evening settling. Okay, Jodie has said 10-month-old still only doing 45-minute cat naps. In day 2 to 3, do some babies only do 45 minutes? Night's getting better. I guess Jodie's sleep training goes down at 6:30, wakes between 10 and 12. I resettle at this point, feed again between 2 and 4, then all fun and games till morning. So I'm thinking maybe baby doesn't sleep well from that time. A lot better. He used to feed wake every 20 minutes to 2 hours. Okay, Jodie, so if that was the case, then it sounds like you're on track. You've got some awesome improvement happening. And if that is the case, then it is totally normal for your nighttime sleep to improve first, and then your daytime sleep to take another week or 2 to improve after that. So you could either just stop working on the cat naps at the moment and just work on your nighttime sleep, Jodie, and then next week work on both. But your night sleep should probably be sorted by next week, and then you'd just be working on your naps. Or you can continue this week working on both at the same time, but know that your naps will probably take a little bit longer. And I have been really sick, which is why I haven't been live on Facebook. But hopefully I can get through your questions. Okay, Tyler. My 10-month-old now wakes once in the night. She used to sleep through. It's manageable at the moment, but I'd like her to sleep through when I go back to work. 2 naps at 9:30 and 2 7 p.m. bedtime with 7 a.m. and 1 random wake up. She was having a bottle and happily goes back to sleep. It's like she's actually thirsty. Other resettling techniques don't work. She wants a bottle. Occasionally she does sleep through, so I know she can do it. What can I try? Okay, Tyler, because she's 10 months, I would probably try reducing down that bottle like I mentioned tonight, and just looking at what she's eating during the day to make sure that she's getting the calories she needs during the day. And as you reduce that bottle at night, you will need to increase your calories during the day, whether that's more volume of bottles. She should still be having around 600 mils during the day and 3 good meals. You know, I'd make sure that she's not filling up on snacks in between meals, so she has really good focused meals, and you're not worried about her not getting the calories she needs during the day as you cut that bottle down at night. But you should be able to switch that around by reducing that and increasing your daytime calories again. Adria has said, yay, entertainment. I think I am the entertainment. She's an 11.5-month-old night waking from separation anxiety. I think I stroke his head till he goes back to sleep. No talking or anything. Started to do this during his midday nap as well. After about an hour's sleep, my back is killing me. Okay, so Adrian, if there is a little bit of separation anxiety going on there, I would perhaps sit with your child. So sit in a cot, not in a cot, on a chair next to the cot so that you are there with them. But I would stop the stroking the face because I think that's probably becoming a sleep prop and encouraging your sleep to regress and get a little bit worse. So if your baby needs you, I would sit with them, but I would try to back off how much you're actually assisting to sleep with that stroking, because I think that is becoming a sleep prop, which is why now your nap is probably regressing as well as your night sleep. Okay, Janelle has said 11-month-old sleeps from 9:30 to 11 most mornings, which suits great as I work from home from 9:30 to 10:30. He usually goes back down any time from 2, but I have to wake him for kindy and school pickups at 2:30. If I put him down at 3:30 and said, what time should I get him to sleep till? Okay, Janelle, I wouldn't put him down at 3:30. I think that's too late in the afternoon and it will start to affect your nighttime sleep. So if you are working from home, I would maybe see if your hours are more flexible than 9:30 till 10:30. Otherwise, you could do a 9:30 to 10:30 nap and then a 1:30. That would be 3 hours later till 2:30, which is when your kindy pickup is. And then you'd probably need quite an early bedtime because Bubs would only have had 2 hours sleep during the day. Otherwise, if you can adjust your working hours, then I will put the link in the comments below to download my routine for that age, and that would mean that you could work for 2 hours over lunchtime when he naps and half an hour in the morning as well when he naps. So that would be my ideal at that age, to encourage good nighttime sleep and make sure those naps are hitting those biological sleep windows during the day, which just means that the naps are easy, they're really restorative, and you don't have any dramas with 12-month sleep regression. Adele, 9-month-old who used to sleep through the night from 7 weeks to 4 months. Ooh, looks like the 4-month sleep regression came and never went. Now wakes 3 to 20 times a night. Not crying, just talking. Naps 2 to 3 times a day. Have tried the following. So she's tried pretty much everything from this list. Literally everything you can think of. Now has a Lula doll, which is helping. She has to have a dummy. Literally will not sleep without one. She goes down really well after her deep sleep. 4 to 5 hours. She wakes, okay, so she does 4 to 5 hours early in the evening, then she wakes all night after that. So that's a pretty common scenario for the first part of the night to be really awesome and then for it to kind of fall apart after that. And Adele, you are right, the first part of the evening is a really deep period of sleep, so that's often the first part of the night sleep to consolidate when we're working on our night sleep. So I know all the things that you have listed there is actual kind of products and things. I think, Adele, if your baby is 9 months and they have a dummy or a pacifier, they can actually learn to find and replace that themselves. And if she's not crying and she's just talking, I would just leave her alone, you know. She doesn't need anything, she's not crying. She has a pacifier, and I guarantee you at 9 months she could pick that up and replace it herself. So whether or not you attach it to like a Sleepy Top bunny or something to make that easier or not, but at 9 months she doesn't need you to put the dummy in for her. And I wouldn't try and get rid of it at 9 months. I would just teach her to do that herself so that your sleep overnight is not as disturbed and she can get herself back to sleep really quickly and easily. Nicholas got a 9-month-old moving around the cot and waking himself up at least once a night. Write it out, or do I need to do something about it? So like I said with the whole movement thing, don't do anything about it, you know. You can't really stop them moving. If you invested in something like a safety sleep, this is the age where I recommend weaning off a safety sleep, so I certainly wouldn't recommend starting one. And things like cot bumpers to stop them from banging their heads aren't safe. And they don't really hurt themselves, you know. They get a knock and a fright or a startle, but it's very rare for a child to actually move around the cot so much and bang to the point that they actually hurt themselves. So I just wouldn't panic about it, and I would just write it out. Scrolling up, okay, Nicola, oh, same question. I'll be going back to work. Oh, same mum, different question. I'll be going back to work when my son is almost a year old and due to commute. His night sleep will be 7:30 to 6:30. What would you suggest we aim for with naps? Okay, so he's going to lose, you know, about an hour's sleep a day with that that night sleep structure. So instead of having 2.5 hours sleep a day, you might want to be aiming for more like 3.5 hours sleep. So you could be doing like a 9 till 10 and a 1 till 3, or a 1 till 3:30, or a 1:30 to 3:30. So you can sort of knock things on a little bit because you need a little bit more day sleep to happen, because you're going to lose a little bit of nighttime sleep. Anna, we need help on resettling. My 10-month-old self-settles for naps and night sleep, which is awesome, but more often than not can't resettle during the night by herself. Wakes 4 times on bad nights. It's taken me a long time to get her to bed this early and get decent naps happening. So she's in bed at 7:30 in the evening, and then she wakes. Oh, I don't know when she wakes. I just know she naps from 9 till 10 and 2:30 to 3:30. Okay, so if she's having trouble with resettling, Anna, it's usually down to her learning to need to do that herself. And especially at 10 months old, you know, we can't hold a 10-month-old down and pat them. And if we pick them up and rock them or feed them, that becomes a new kind of association for them. Whereas if you're wanting these wake-ups to stop, then it's about her learning to do it herself. So, you know, the way that you taught her to self-settle during the day and to self-settle in the evening, that is the way I would teach her to self-settle overnight when she does those wake-ups. So same technique will work, and how you do that, whether it's with some crying or whether it's with gentle sleep training, totally up to you and your parenting style, but it's going to be about her learning to do it herself. I hope that helps. Okay, Chelsea. My 10-month-old has just started daycare 4 days a week. She settled in really well, but is only having a short lunchtime sleep. She's super overtired and waking early morning, fighting, going back to sleep. I'm doing sleep training for early morning wake-ups, but should I offer a late arvo nap on the daycare days and early bedtime, or just early to bed? Okay, so Chelsea, first thing is daycare can take up to 3 weeks for them to settle in, so be prepared for a 3-week, you know, rough patch. Sleep training early in the morning, good on you, so that she learns to go back to sleep. Should you offer a kind of emergency nap around 4 o'clock? I probably would. On those days where she's had a rubbish sleep, it'll help with your early morning wake up, and a super early bedtime will also help. And have a chat to daycare and make sure they are trying their best to get her to go back to sleep after that midday wake up, because that's going to be the biggest thing which will encourage her to actually go back to having a decent nap at daycare. You know, if they always get her up after 40 minutes, then she literally will never consolidate her lunchtime sleep at daycare. Okay, Rebecca, my 10-month-old wee boy has no trouble sleeping as long as it's on or with me. That is hard at that age. They get really big. He goes down for the night between 6 or 7, but the minute I put him in his cot, he wakes straight back up and is beside himself until I get him back out and bring him back into the lounge with me, where he will promptly go straight back to sleep. Okay, Rebecca, so he probably thinks, you know, if we think about this from his point of view, that you are where he sleeps, and he doesn't understand why you put him down in the bed once he's asleep, you know, because Mum is where I fall asleep in his world. So at 10 months, I actually think he needs to go into his cot awake, not even drowsy. I think he needs to go in there wide awake and know that that is where he's going to go to sleep for the night and for his naps, you know. But you said, so basically I have to hold him from bedtime till I go to bed myself. He also does this with his day sleeps. I have a 9-year-old and I'm on my own, so this makes life extremely difficult, which I can understand. I'm unable to do anything at night, get a drink, go to the toilet, spend any time with my 9-year-old. I've tried everything, natural sleep drops, Luladol, doctors, Plunkett. He used to self-settle asleep well until 4 months, so 4-month sleep regression again. But always slept in his cot until about 1 month ago. Please help me. Okay, Rebecca, he needs to go into his cot awake, not asleep. It's too confusing, the fact that he goes in there asleep and then he cries because he wakes up and you pick him up and hold him again till he falls asleep. So he thinks, okay, so that's how my evening goes. I go to sleep on Mum, she puts me in the cot, I cry, I go back to sleep on Mum, and I stay there until we go to bed for the night, you know. So that sort of cycle is just reinforcing for him that's how he goes to sleep. So he needs to go on the cot awake rather than asleep, and he needs to relearn to self-settle. So some sleep training basically, and whether or not you choose to do some gentle sleep training or some cry-based, I would usually recommend gentle sleep training when there has been a very strong hold to sleep or feed to sleep association. So in scenarios like this is what I would recommend. And yeah, it should take maybe 3 to 5 days, but you'll see improvements every night with some gentle sleep training at this age. And I will pop in a link for you for my ebook on gentle sleep training that might help you as well. Charlie, have an 8-month-old who's still waking a few times in the night. We use the shusher as white noise and to resettle him in the night. Are we best to not use the shusher to resettle as he's relying on this to settle? Or should we be looking at white noise? Charlie, if you literally just turn the shusher on and he goes back to sleep, then I would download the shusher app. It plays all night, and play that puppy all night long, and then hopefully you won't have to do anything else. Megan's got an 8-month-old who catnaps in the day will only sleep on me. So same as Rebecca, you guys could buddy up. Megan, my answer to you is the same as Rebecca's. Bubs needs to go into the bed awake rather than asleep. So not on you or next to you if you're wanting him to learn to self-settle. And that'll be why he's catnapping too, because he can't self-settle, so he can't resettle to link his cycles together. So I would start by teaching him to self-settle and put him down in his cot awake, and then maybe some gentle sleep training, because there is that close association between you and baby when it comes to sleep. Okay, Anna, my 9-month-old has never been a great sleeper, but with a lot of sleep training, gentle and eventually cry-based, she became a great sleeper and had great naps. Well, that's cool. Not sure what happened at the moment. Teething, leap, illness or regression, but she won't nap anymore and won't go to bed easily. I don't know if I should wait it out or hope she goes back or let her cry again. Okay, so whenever we have a blip, Anna, in our sleep, whether it's, you know, because of this whole movement regression or you travelled and had a holiday, the faster you can get back on track, the faster the whole blip's going to go away. So when you say wait it out, I assume that you're actually going to go back to assisting to sleep, and that would mean that you would go back to stage 1 of your sleep training once you were sick of waiting it out. So if you sleep trained her before with gentle and then cry-based, and now you're having a blip, I would simply go back to what you're comfortable with. So whether that's gentle or cry-based, I would go back to that, and within a couple of days things should settle down again, you know. And I know that people really hang on to these leaps as explanations for why their kids aren't sleeping, but kids go through so many changes in the first 2 years of their life, and you are going to notice changes in their sleep patterns a lot, and the more consistent you are with your approach, the more consistent their sleep will become, you know, rather than thinking, okay, so the Wonder Weeks app says this is week 42 and we're going through a 3-day dark cloud period, so I'm going to rock you to sleep for 3 days, and then you have to go back to your sleep training, you know. Just understand that things change quite a lot, quite frequently, and the more consistent in your approach you can be, the more consistent your kids' sleep will be. So just, you know, and have a look through our page, and I'll post a link for you as well to my hierarchy of self-soothing, and just thinking when we do have a blip, just trying to only move a couple of stages on that hierarchy rather than going all the way back down to the bottom where we're assisting to sleep, and then we have to start the whole process over again with teaching them to self-settle. Becky says she loves watching my videos. Well, thank you, Becky. Anna, good prep for you. Oh, and she's telling her friend that she must like this page. My consultant from here is from here, and she is amazing. Anna, who is your consultant from our team? I'll tell her that she's amazing. My whole team is amazing, really. Victoria, no question, just thanks. She says our videos are very useful. Kerry, night waking in the early hours from separation anxiety. Bubs is almost 11 months, won't resettle until she's in our bed. Advice. Kerry, probably not separation anxiety, probably just that Bubs is now in a habit of sleeping in your bed and wakes up, and that's her new norm, so she's waiting to go back into your bed. So again, if it is separation anxiety, my advice is always sit next to them in their room rather than bring them to your room. So if you can sit by her cot and she goes back to sleep, then that's cool. It's just separation anxiety and she hasn't developed a new habit of wanting to sleep in your bed. But if it is a new habit, then she's probably going to cry because she wants to sleep in your bed. So you'll have to do a little bit of sleep training to get her to go back to sleep. Shell, 10-month-old wakes every single morning at 5 a.m. That is way too early. Can't settle her no matter what. She's still 80% of the time doing 45-minute naps. Because she wakes so early, I have no idea when her nap time should be, or how long that should be, or actually how to stop the 5 a.m. wake-ups altogether. Okay, Shell, good news. I still have my early morning wake-up masterclass, so I'll pop that link in there below if anyone wants some focused work on early morning wake-ups. But it sounds like your 10-month-old is overtired, to be honest. Short naps during the day and early wake-ups, to me, says overtired. And usually I say overtired like 50 million times in these videos, and I have not said it once tonight. But I think your 10-month-old is overtired. So I would be asking whether or not they can self-settle for those 45-minute naps, and if they can, then let's work on resettling, letting them resettle themselves with the same self-settling skills so they get some longer naps during the day. And 5 a.m, take the onus off you as the mum and put it back on your 10-month-old. If she can self-settle, she can go back to sleep from 5 till 7 a.m. She doesn't need you to make her go back to sleep. So a bit of sleep training, put the onus back on her. She can do it. She can go back to sleep on her own. And honestly, things like social interaction, which is mum in the room at 5 a.m, really encourage 5 a.m. wake-ups, because we are resetting their biological sleep clock at that time of day, and the things which reset it are food, light, and social interaction. So, you know, feeding, turning the light on, or mum going into the room and trying to make baby go back to sleep, which usually involves some kind of interaction. So at 10 months, I would be saying, Baba, you can do this yourself. And if she can't self-settle, that'll be the first thing that you need to teach her to do, and then you can work on the early wake-up and the resetting from those short naps as well. Okay, Becky, my 9-month-old is waking in the night for a bottle or two, had tried limiting bottle, diluting it with more water and offering water. He would just keep crying loudly until he gets him out, until he is satisfied. Sounds like he naps pretty well, and he's in bed at 6:30. He's eating 3 decent meals with a couple of snacks and bottles in between. So Becky, maybe go back to the start of the video when I talked about food, because maybe he's really hungry from that, you know, this growth spurt that I talked about. And it might be what he's eating, and that he needs to eat more of different foods. So he might need more protein or more complex carbohydrates. I would ditch the snacks and just increase the bottles and the meal volumes, because they'll be higher in calories. And as far as the night bottles go, I would probably drop them down slowly rather than trying to just eliminate them. So just drop them down by like 1 ounce, 30 mils, and at the same time increase a daytime bottle by 30 mils, or add in some food, you know, so some more meat, so beef, chicken, fish, that kind of thing, some eggs, Greek yogurt, up the protein levels, and then can you up the carbohydrate levels, you know, so your rice, pasta, bread, kumara, potato, all of that kind of stuff. Your cereal, so maybe some porridge for breakfast, you know. And because he is 9 months, try to stay away from those sort of more watered down baby purees, and just move on to some more wholesome, calorie rich food, which will help with your nighttime sleep. But I would cut the bottles slowly. Okay, that is the last question from my list. If you posted a question tonight, I will come back on and type some answers for you later. But I just can't talk anymore because I'm going to lose my voice from how sick I have been. But if you're watching the replay, please post your questions in the comments and I will come on and answer them for you. Thank you for tuning in. I hope this has been helpful. If you do want some one-on-one help with your baby or toddler, then just click through to the website. You know, we can come and see you in your home or do phone work with you, whatever suits your family. And if you are in Auckland for the baby show at the end of August, please come and see me. I would love to meet you, and I would love you to come to my talk Friday and Saturday, 2 free talks on getting your baby to sleep through the night. And otherwise, I will be with Fiona on the Sleepy Tot stand, answering your questions, and I've just had printed a whole lot of new flyers with routines on them. Sorry, I should have had them here to show you, but I don't. But if you come and see me at the baby show, I will give you one, so you can take away all the sleep hints and tips that you need. Yeah, so baby show end of August, and please share this video if you know anyone who needs to watch it, and ask your questions in the comments and I will type in some answers for you later. Cool, well thanks for watching guys.